A couple of months ago, our stonemason Jean-Paul and his team built us the most beautiful Chateau gate posts. The iron gates are ordered from a blacksmith and should be delivered this summer. And Philip's confident to finish installing the electric motor and interphone this week. Well, let's see.
Today's a special day because I'm going to install something I've waited 4 years to have since we bought the Chateau. An item that I install at the gate, and then people can press it, and inside the Chateau there will be a bell ringing. I'm sure you're familiar with the concept of a doorbell. Well, it's a doorbell. It also has a camera, so I can see if somebody rings, and it should theoretically be able, through that system, to open the gates for visitors, for welcome visitors. And if the visitors are not welcome, we don't open the gates. And little detail, I also need to install both motors which will drive the gate once the gate is finished, like an infrared sensor, so the gate doesn't shut on a car or a person. And here are all my cables. Yeah, the cables coming out. I need to connect them now. Those of you who watch our videos in high resolution will have noticed that I have a wound on my nail. I sliced into the nail and it was like flapping a little bit, and 2 days ago I cut again and I completely cut it off by mistake. So it was a bit painful, and it still is. I didn't cry, but I was briefly considering making a GoFundMe for myself, for the boat. But then I said it's not a good idea. So I just suffer silently. All the parts I need are in here. Here are all the things we need, and a lot of things we don't need, and a lot of things that shouldn't be where they are right now, but that's because we have children. I bought all these things a couple of years ago. I was overly optimistic, thinking we could install them soon, but then we couldn't even afford the gates. So I had motors, but no gates. Now I have half a gate and motors, which is good. This is not part of the motor, nor is this. Okay, here there are cables. Normally I do not read instructions. I have the rare gift of looking at things and knowing what they're good for. This, for instance, is the motor for the gate. I know that. I don't need to read instructions. And there needs to be a second one, obviously, which must be somewhere here. Here. Told you. A second one. Let's keep deducting. A motor for a gate needs to be connected to electricity. Hence, it has a cable. It has a cable here, so I need to connect this cable to the electricity coming from the house. So, no instruction needed for that next step either. Now, there are 2 black plates with 4 screws. And if you look at them, it's quite obvious. These are... Here we have something called a key. A key. More screws. And some sort of box. And I think this is a box with a key, and if the gates don't work, I can open that box. And last but not least, I have some arms that are probably to be connected here, and a box which certainly contains all the electronics needed for that gate. Now let's look at this electronic things. I'm going to explain you what I see. Here are cables. These are an LCD screen where you can read, and a lot of numbers and a lot of possible ways of. And there's a fuse. So this needs to be mounted on the wall next to the gates, obviously. This is an Italian thing saying cancello automatico, automatic gate. Ooh, I know what that is. These are infrared things. They have accessories. Oh. Why don't we start with these? I'm sure they have 2 cables. Oh no, there's again like, why do they make that? There's 1. It says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I don't know where to. It should have just 2. On a more exciting note, I have this door device. I think it's called interphone. In French it's called interphone. And Anna said it's called interphone in English, I'm not sure. But anyway, it's this. It's just a more exciting object than a gate motor. Bitte lesen Sie die Produktanleitung sorgfältig vor der Installation. Bitte weisen Sie dem Gerät die E-Mail-Adresse des Besitzers zu, für den Fall, dass Sie die Login-Daten wiederherstellen müssen. Meine Güte. For some reason, and very exceptionally, I wasn't super smart this time. Because the cables are there and a bit short, I have to put this box in the corner, which means that each time I need to access, I need to go through these branches. Speaking of these branches, these are Seringa, and they're almost about to flower, and they have the most beautiful scent. I don't want to make any cheap self-promotion, but there are some beautiful candles out there made with the scent of these plants, mock orange in English. If you would order one of these candles now, you could smell this scent even before we can smell it. I think that's a good spot. Oh, that's a good spot. That's a good spot. No, it doesn't do anything. Maybe that's the reason why they provided the template. Hammer. I think it's good. That was surprisingly easy. And if things are so easy, sometimes there's a problem later.
Okay, Ella, are you ready to help me? All right. The plan for today is trying to crack on a bit in the garden and do some weeding, tidy it up a little bit. This garden is a huge amount of work, and with just the two of us, it feels like it's a never-ending task. Hi, where are you going?
I'm going the other way.
Hey, you're not going in the right direction. Come back. What is it, Ella?
Push me.
I thought you were my helper.
Yeah, but you push me.
Is that fun? Okay, Ella, you see all of these here. Can you see all these little plants? We have to try and get them out. You see, like that? That's it, and we've got to put them back into there, okay? Because these are all sycamores. They've just self-set, and we need to get them out. Okay, but we're going to try and get them out with the root, okay? So this is going to be tricky, Ella. You've got to do it really gently, okay? And look, you're going to pull it really gently. You see? If you pull it gently, then you get the root. You see? That's the root. Can you see that? Did you get the root? Well done, good job. Right, come on, Ella, let's get on with it.
I just realized I made a series of mistakes which are just semi-catastrophic and can still be fixed with a lot of work. I put a cable in for the motor, which is good, but it's not good at the same time because the motor has its own cable and it has a label, don't cut the cable. And I was thinking, that's funny, why does it say don't cut it? I have my cable in place, so I cut this and connect it. But it turns out that there's a reason why it says not to cut it, and that's because it wants this cable to go, as it is connected, outside of the motor box and to another box somewhere else, and only there you should connect it. And that's just because it shouldn't get wet, and there's water in the box when it rains, and so you don't want a connection sitting in that hole, which totally makes sense. Now, I could make a dry connection, but that's not the only problem. That solves only one of the problems. There's also another accessory, a magnetic stopper. And it turns out this magnetic stopper has a cable and it needs to go to the box there. Only that I never put in this cable because I didn't read the instructions. I just thought there's a motor and it needs electricity, and that's what I provided for. I can still call the company because, in my opinion, that's kind of an optional thing. Now, what I can do before I go inside and devour a whole tablet of chocolate in a desperate act of self-pity, I can install the infrared. And here, I really hope not to have any problems because this cable is in the middle of this stone pillar. I can't modify that. Just cut the outer protection. Then I turn this, good, that long. There's only one chance to get this right. I need to open this cable. And I looked already inside the cell, and there's two connectors. One connector says 1 and one connector says 2. So I don't know what that means, but I just connect one cable on 1 and one cable on 2, and I find out later what 1 and 2 means. Let's say blue is number 1 and brown is number 2. I just need to remember that. And that's why I'm telling you. So if everything takes longer than planned and my memory is not the best anymore, I still can watch this video, provided that I remember that I told you that in this video. What did you say? Blue is 1. Blue is 1. Brown is 2. Brown is number 2. That makes sense. One done. Happy. Okay, so just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, it got worse. One of these needs 5 cables. But what I did, I put 2 cables on each side. I don't know why I put 2 cables on each side. I didn't even think, I just put 2 cables on each side. I know why. I opened one of these. Unfortunately, I opened the one with the 2 contacts, the one that needs 2 cables. And I didn't check on the other one because for me it was the same thing. They look the same, they weighed the same. So it means that this cable in here, which goes all the way through a trench to the box, is not the right cable. So not only did I fail by not putting enough cables into the motor box, I also failed with these infrared things. It's a complete fail, like a disaster. I hope I can use this cable to pull through a bigger cable with 5 poles, and then I need to make a trench and put all the cables back again. And why? That's why I hate instructions. I hate instructions because I don't read them, and then I make mistakes. Okay, I have to admit I wasn't well prepared for this job. I was careless, and now I have to face the consequences. Just like when you have a rough awakening after a long night out. But unlike with this gate motor situation, I can proudly call myself a well-prepared man when it comes to having a drink or 2 with friends, thanks to a company called ZBiotics, which produces the world's first genetically engineered pre-alcohol probiotic, and also happens to be this week's ad. ZBiotics was invented by real scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the guts. It's that byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Now, ZBiotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut, where you need it most. Just remember to drink ZBiotics before drinking alcohol and take the obvious but precious advice to drink responsibly. Get a good night's sleep and you'll be surprised how good you feel the day after thanks to this little bottle. For those in the US, Memorial Day weekend is approaching, so make sure you're stocked up with ZBiotics. Go to zbiotics.com/chateau or scan the QR code on the screen right now to get 15% off your first order when you use Chateau at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. If you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund you your money, no questions asked. It's a wonderful weather. It's wet, it rains a little bit, foggy, the perfect weather to illustrate my catastrophic fail at the gates. I went to the shops and I bought a cable to replace this cable here. how to get the cable in here, that's the question. I know that this cable here comes out somewhere here. I also bought some gloves to protect my injured finger. I call it the GoFundMe boat finger now. It must be somewhere here. I hope it's not too deep down. I can't see any cable here. Ah! Ooh! Look at this! Look at this! That's the cable. That's cable number 1. That is good news for one cable. Now there's another cable. This cable that comes from the engine, from the motor. Not, I always say engine, it's not an engine. This one. This might, this is, I don't know where that is. This here is the cable. But as you can see, maybe, this is much thicker than the original cable. I hope this will still go through, and I have exactly one chance, because if this cable disappears, if this breaks whilst I'm pulling it through, well, I don't think there's any way for me to get this cable through the hole here. Wish me luck. I'm gonna cut most of the cables off, just leaving 2. Oh no. Oh my goodness, that's not what I wanted. Oof. Did you see that? Oh, that's exactly what I wanted to avoid, so that should not happen again, please. Problem is, these are soft cables, and soft cables, as the name says, are rather soft. This is my last chance, the only chance I have. Just want to push it as well as pull it. Oh, it feels like stuck. Ooh, I don't like that. Ooh, look at this. Can you see this? Now, all I have to do is to put this cable into cable housing, dig a trench from here, and get it all towards my control box. But that's just a bit of digging. I feel this should be a day job, and it turned out to be a 3-day job. And I also realized that I'm parts missing, which I have to reorder now from the company, because the boxes with these motors were open there for quite a while and the parts are gone. Who knows where they are. So this goes in here. This cable here needs to go into this hole and come out there. But there's 2 more cables that I need to put in here. I'm happy to see you too. I'm working. I need to install this, and there were instructions how to install this somewhere. I need to put this plate here, 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 here. No, here. There's this, and it isn't here. And this one is definitely this, but this one doesn't exist here. But hey, it's probably the same. This is obviously the sensor that then triggers these magnets here. Now, we need to get these 2 cables out of the way here. Push these cables through here instead of this one. Now we need to hope that we can push these cables through here instead of this one. I wouldn't suspend my children on this one to lower them down our 50-meter deep well to look if there's water. But it should be strong enough for this job here. I mean, I probably wouldn't do that anyway, unless there was no other way to see if there's water, of course. I would still try to do it myself first, because I'm a good father. Now this cable is this one, isn't it? Oh, and here they are. That was a 10 out of 10. Before this cable disappears inside the wall, I'm gonna install the other infrared sensor. It's crazy, it's such a little appliance. It just says on and off, needs 5 connections. Is it gonna work? I don't know, but much more important, it looks good.
If you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. And for more of us, check out the extra content on our Patreon page, where you can become a member starting for as little as €5 a month.